Alright, here we go again on the next one. I'm just going to take the cuff and line it up, do my holes, the hole punch. This is a rotary hole punch that I'm using here. You could also use the manual pound down hole punch. I would recommend just getting one of these rotary hole punches. Much easier. They're only like 20 or 30 bucks or something like that if you want a good one. The cheapo hole punches will end up falling apart on you after so many uses, and so they're not really worth it unless of course you're only planning on making a few sets. Then a cheapo one may be an option you would prefer. Of course I can't get that in through that way, so I have to go this way. Just because of the way the rotary hole punch is set up. So we'll do that, and then the next thing I want to do is I want to line up. I want to line this up. So I'm going to mark it on the 20 spot. It's a 10-inch strap. So I just want to make sure that I know where I'm going to place this, because I want this kind of in the center. I'm going to place it on the 4-inch mark. So it's in the center of the 4. This piece that holds the D-ring is pretty much lined up, so the center of it is on 4-inch, the 4th inch in for a 10-inch strap. So then I just make sure it's in the center of the strap and hold it down. Put my punches, hole punches in there, and put the rivets in. I do 3 rivets. In there. So now that I have a few holes in there, I don't need my ruler anymore. I'm just going to put these in to the hand press, pound them down. See how simple that is? Fairly simple. Much easier than using the manual rivet setter. And if you're going to use the manual rivet setter, I would recommend getting one of these instead of the little piece that they have. Where is that? What did I do with it? Well, it's kind of like this. This one is for eyelets, but the rivet ones have a concave. It's basically concave here. So it kind of matches, and then you would put this down and then put the rivet on there and then line it up and then hammer the rivet down that way, like boom, which I'm not going to do. That I tried doing it like that and it ends up skewed. It's also easier if you have one of these plates like this, which you can find. This is like a lighting or electric box cover that I found. And you can use this. It's pretty much just as effective as having one of these. It's flat, so your rivets will end up flat like this makes it. To make it flat rather than more concave on the back side as well as the top. Did we do these? Okay, so now those are all in, and I'm going to get my D-ring. put that on there. You want to kind of curve it like that when you're going to do the second set of rivets on these. Make sure it's lined up in the center. And we'll just do the first one. Because it's bent like that, when you put that on, you have to pound this first rivet down first. Otherwise, the leather ends up pushing it, and the center of the rivet will end up not straight. I don't know if you can see this very well, but it ends up really skewed if you don't put this one down first. And then we'll flatten that out, kind of make it flat like that. And that's what would have made it skewed, is when we flatten that down. That first one would have been skewed. So now we'll put these ones down. So I used to use this before I bought this bad baby. Now this hand press is quite expensive. They retail for like $160 or something like that. In addition to that, you also need to get the rivet feet. This is the bottom part of the rivet foot, or die setter. A set of these generally goes for like $50 to $70 or something like that. But you get a die set for both the small rivets and large rivets. I don't know if I have any small rivets around here. But so in addition to the $170 or $160 for that, you still have to buy the die set feet. Okay. So now that that's done, we're done with the rivets. Now we just have to pound the holes with the 1-inch oblong punch. So I've already done this one. This one's already done. And so now that I'm doing the pair for it, I am going to line them up, because I eyeballed the first ones. And so you just want to line these up. I try to line them up so these the plate staples are lined up, because that's what matters. And so you have to flatten them down. And as long as those plate staples are lined up, then you can punch the holes. We're not worried about it not being lined up on the whole end. As far as, like, I'm not going to line the top up, I'm just going to line the holes up based on these plate staples. Make sure they're all flat. That way the cuffs are more of a matching set. So now that we have those lined up, I will go ahead, oops, I prefer to do it this way. So we'll line these up again. And just make sure that this one lines up. This hole that we're going to put in here is going to line up with this one, and so forth all the way down. And those bricks that I have there are very helpful. You can pound these holes like on a workbench or something, but if it's a wooden workbench, there's a good likelihood that when you hammer this down, your hammer is going to recoil on you, and that's bad for your wrist. And so you definitely want something, a very solid base, which is why I got these bricks. They were just laying around. I didn't buy them. And you can probably find them in your neighborhood all over the place, depending on where you live. And especially if you live in Detroit, they're probably everywhere. Or trailer parks. These are generally used to hold up trailers in a trailer park. And so, which is where I got mine, from a trailer park. And so you just want to make sure everything's lined up, and bada boom, we have a fairly matching set of cuffs. And you can use the poundo board will make sure that the holes are smooth I switched poundo boards in here, and so you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's stuff in this one where it didn't make a clean cut all the way through. A newer poundo board is going to make a very clean cut, like on these ones. That's very clean, rather than this one, my older poundo board. You can see also through the front, where the more you pound it down, creates it so it's not so smooth. The poundo board is just not that smooth, and so you end up with slightly less appealing, although it's still functional. It'll still be functional. There's my cuffs. That's how you make cuffs. Bada boom. Enjoy.